for a lot of people, something like a cancer scare or having a parent pass away can be that like really wake up moment to snap them out of their lives. And I feel like for me, because I lost my mom so young and because I was diagnosed with my cancer so young, it actually didn't serve as that. It actually, those moments drove me deeper into the matrix and drove me deeper into just complete shutdown mode and complete like numbing, head down, and really had me not trust myself, had me completely outsource my power and my own sovereignty to others, to the people who were stronger, who quote unquote knew better.
Welcome to the Life is a Healing Journey podcast by yours truly, Anuschka, with a C. This podcast explores how you can create a true healthy lifestyle and live your life to the fullest in the face of any circumstance by healing and balancing your mind, body, spirit. If you are someone that's been dealing with disharmony in any area of your life and you are committed to seeking harmony, this podcast is for you. Let's start healing. Hello, everybody. On today's podcast, we have a guest, one of my greatest friends, my closest friends, Anna. So happy to have her here. So hello, Anna.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Absolutely. Anna is also actually an engineer turned healer. And really, she says energetic engineer, which I love. And I should maybe say that too.
Yeah.
But I love that. Energetic engineer. And it just goes so well because truly that is who she is. After losing her mom to brain cancer at 15 years old, and then being diagnosed with thyroid cancer at 16, then she struggled with depression after that even. So it took a lot for her to really embark on this intensive personal development and spiritual healing journey that led her to discover her life's purpose and be this contribution to this world, serving others. Now, this is when actually we met back in 2015. Interestingly enough, we both went to school in Colorado too, engineering school. And we both ended up here in San Diego. So definitely, I feel like our lives are meant to pass. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've had similar trajectories, but different timing of things, I feel like.
Totally. And I know there's more, so I'd love for you to introduce more of what it is that you do and yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So after all of that, after discovering my life's purpose and my contribution in the world, at this point now, I've had almost 8 years of client experience. And who I am known as is a miracle working energy healer, a style alchemist, a speaker, and a spiritual mentor for guiding spiritually minded leaders who have been disconnected from their power back to their energetic sovereignty so that they can fully be expressed as their soul core essence and be unfuckwithable in their lives and businesses. So that is what all of this life experience has culminated as, and that is what I'm here to do.
I love it. It's like, whoo, mic drop. And what I love is being in this, I guess, in the same field. I don't know what you want to call it, but like field.
Yeah.
What I love is that me and Anna actually get to do exchanges of our different, what we provide one another. And because I truly believe we all benefit from working with others, not just being mentors, but also receiving, right? Giving and receiving.
Absolutely. And given the experiences that I've gone through, like with spiritual work and with a variety of mentors and healers and some really negative experiences, I'm very, very, very discerning about who I work with, who I let into my energy field, who I let into my space. And you, Anushka, are the real deal. Like you are absolutely, even just aside from the fact that we're great friends, you are so committed and working with such high integrity. And I really admire that about you. And I really value that.
Aw, right back at you, sister.
Thank you.
Truly, I feel like I always work with people based on my intuition, and with you, it's always a yes. And so it's great. It's great to be the same like soul tribe and friend tribe and all the areas. So today we're talking about life as a healing journey and how you've embraced life as a healing journey. And yeah, let's get started with you just sharing. I know with you, it wasn't necessarily just like one incident that woke you up from the autopilot life, from that matrix, right? So would love to hear you share more about that and just your journey, your life as a healing journey.
Absolutely. It really feels like I was on the slow track for a very long time and then kind of got catapulted to the fast track just in the last 5 years or so. But for a lot of people, something like a cancer scare or having a parent pass away can be that like really wake up moment to snap them out of their lives. And I feel like for me, because I lost my mom so young and because I was diagnosed with my cancer so young, it actually didn't serve as that. It actually, those moments drove me deeper into the matrix and drove me deeper into just complete shutdown mode and complete like numbing, head down, and really had me not trust myself, had me completely outsource my power and my own sovereignty to others, to the people who were stronger, who quote unquote knew better what was there for me, which at the time was my dad, stepmom, stepbrother, and they're all scientists, engineers, mathematicians. So I kind of just followed the path. I followed the predicted, expected path for me. And I went to engineering school. I went to Colorado School of Mines. I got a degree in engineering physics. I started going for a master's in electrical engineering. And the whole time, I was completely out of touch and out of sync with my soul, my core, like my heart. I was just head down doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And I moved to San Diego. I would say that was my first manifestation, if you will, was wanting to get out of Colorado and its unpredictable weather patterns and wanting to move somewhere that's just consistently sunny and gorgeous and beach. So I moved to San Diego
Which,
on
by
my
the way, was
own.
my first manifestation too. Just so you know,
I love
actually,
that.
second. I think second because my first was a car, but it was the second.
I love that. And so I moved to San Diego, knowing that I wanted to be here, but I still moved for an engineering job. And I was in that engineering job for 6 years and just miserable and like crying myself out of bed in the morning, drinking myself to sleep every night, just really deeply unhappy and still so conditioned by societal norms and standards and not really knowing that there was something more, feeling like there's got to be more to life than this, but not knowing exactly what it was. And that was kind of what catapulted my quest for personal development. And I think that if you were to say there was a defining moment, it would be when I got a tonsillectomy, actually. And when you get a tonsillectomy later on in life, it's really painful and it's a really harsh recovery process. And it's so interesting that all of my surgeries that I've ever had in my life, and I've had like 4 or 5 surgeries, have been on the neck region. So it's all been throat chakra. It's all been like you're speaking your truth and being blocked in speaking your truth and your authentic self-expression. And that really is my life's work now. But I had this tonsillectomy and I had a really hard and long recovery period. And I was so depressed and I felt so hopeless. And I had been going to therapy and it wasn't helping. And I was in this like dead end relationship and a job that I hated and was completely unfulfilled by. And my therapist at the time was like, it might be time to go on antidepressants. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, hell no. And a friend of mine at the time had been talking to me about this personal development program, this course. And I was like, no, no, I'm good. I'm reading books. I'm going to therapy. I'm good. And then when my therapist was like, let's put you on meds now, that was the moment when I was like, I'm going to go try this landmark thing and see how it goes. And I'll get back to you. And I went and did that course and discovered that I had been living my life for others and not actually for myself. And 2 weeks later, I broke up with my therapist.
Yeah.
And within a couple of months of that course, I started my own business as a personal fashion stylist. Within a year, within a few months, I also switched from an engineering job to a sales job, from which I got fired like 6 months later, and then went full on in my styling business. And then from there, it also opened because I went into it as an atheist engineer. That experience opened my eyes to everything else. And that's when I started really just voraciously seeking other personal development, spiritual development, and started studying like every healing modality under the sun. And I think, and that was over 8 years ago. So it's really been a culmination of the last 8 years that led me to where and who I am now.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's crazy because for me, I always say I was a skeptical engineer.
Yeah.
Like when
I take it a step further. I'm like, atheist engineer.
atheist,
There is
yeah.
nothing.
I'm like, prove it to me. What? Prove
Yep.
it to me. And until I experience things where I was like, there's no proof.
There is no proof.
This is
And
just
there's,
experience. I'm like, I
yeah.
can't explain this logically. I don't know what to say. And so, yeah.
But it's also, there's no way you can make this shit up. Like
No,
some
my
of the
God, I
things we
know.
experience in the
No, my
unseen,
God. Yep.
it's like my imagination isn't this wild. It's
No.
just not that good. So either this is real and it's happening and it's just we just don't see it, or there's no explanation. But
Yeah, there's no logical explanation whatsoever. So that's huge. It's like a huge life journey for sure. And it's interesting because with our conversations, we've also discovered that your automatic self-defense is to shut down. So
yep,
no wonder it had you go through this whole shut down, freeze, autopilot mode rather than just, with me, it's fight. It's like, what
yeah,
can I do? Even yesterday, which we'll talk about another time, but just with Wednesday when I had this, I've been talking about and just, things like discovering something with my whole fertility journey. I was pissed. I was crying. I was angry. And then I'm like, grab the phone, start calling all the, let me get everything figured out. Right. Even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's just
yeah.
my automatic way of being. And we all have that. And there's pros and cons to all of them rather than me allowing myself to fully feel everything. I'm like, what's next?
Let's
Right?
just go.
Let's
Let's
just
let's
go.
go. Let's solve it.
And that's also not very healthy. So I've been learning too to just recognize that, right? So it's always
Yeah,
let's recognize our defense mechanisms and and on you're able to pull yourself out way quicker now than you ever had then, right?
absolutely.
So what about your mind? We're talking about, mind, body, spirit, because it's all about mind,
Hmm.
body, spirit healing. And so where do you see how was your mindset then versus how it's shifted now?
Oof.
I totally
Oof.
get that.
I mean, there has been a complete dismantling of all of my belief systems, right? Like from believing as an atheist engineer, from believing that I live in a world that's against me, in which I'm set up to fail, in which like people are assholes, that people are out to screw me over. Like those were the belief systems that I carried with me through my late 20s.
Oh, even
And
when
that,
we met.
yeah,
You had some of that. I remember.
yeah.
Yeah, the
So,
trust.
hmm and coming from belief systems that were ingrained in me from a very, very young age, and most likely even beyond that into past lives, of not trusting myself, of constantly doubting what I know inside to be true versus what other people in authority or in power over me were telling me was right. So going from that to making the decision to like, no, I'm actually gonna live my life the way I want to live it. I mean, it started from moving across the country by myself to San Diego, where I knew nobody, and starting my life here and building my life up from scratch and building community and going through all of the personal and development work that I've gone through here. But also it went from that to like last fall, literally moving out of my apartment, putting all my stuff in storage, selling my car, and going off and traveling the world for 5 months by myself, which is something that I never would have imagined being able to do because, traveling by yourself to different parts of the world requires a lot of self-trust. It requires a lot of surrender
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that you're supported, especially when, I ended up going on this amazing spiritual retreat in Egypt that I didn't know I was going on until 5 days before it started. And the way everything came through for me was just so serendipitous and magical that, if you had asked me 8 years ago, I would have told you you're crazy. Like that doesn't happen to me. That sort of magic happens for other people, but it doesn't happen for me. And now it's a complete shift in my entire worldview where I do believe things like that are possible. I do believe that I am supported, even if something happens in my life that I don't understand. And, they say everything happens for a reason. And sometimes I'm like, but what is the
Yes.
reason?
Yes. Yes, I get that. They're like, tell me now, damn it, enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
But still knowing that there is a greater reason and a greater purpose that's bigger than me, that was most likely orchestrated by my soul before I even came here, or that's redirection from the universe into something that would serve me more than I can even imagine. And it's still a daily practice of trusting that, absolutely. But it is a complete shift of mindset to even being open to the possibility that that could be true.
Totally. And it's like, I know for me in particular, looking at people that were us, like,
Mhm.
9, 10, whatever years ago, I would look at them like, you are crazy. That doesn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
beyond like
What
this
is this woo-woo
complete,
bullshit you're talking
yeah,
about?
like, okay, weirdo, and it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, thankfully we're in a much better place these days because I know that things have like raised consciousness wise, and so we don't look as crazy as I think back in the day.
Yeah.
But it is
There's not quite as much judgment.
no, yes, definitely. So yeah, it's crazy to see just mindset shifts, how one can go from complete like people out to get me to full on the universe has my back and self-trust,
Mhm.
all of it, right? And I'm
Absolutely.
so there with you. I always talk about like Einstein's quote of just what you have to ask yourself: do you believe the universe is a friendly place or a hostile, right? And it's
Hmm.
like I used to always say hostile, and it's crazy. Like I right now can't believe that I used to think that way, right? Crazy.
Yeah. And yet so many people do.
Oh, totally. till this, I mean, people are always, I talk to people, they're like, oh, the world's become such a bad place. I'm like, no, not really. I'm like, yes, there's all kinds of craziness happening. And I truly believe that it's because they're all out in the surface now, because it's
Yep.
meant to get transformed somehow or another. And it's like there's a lot of light workers out there like us,
Mhm.
and so it'll be. So
Yeah.
what
And
about in terms of like, oh, go ahead. You were going to say something.
no, just to add to what you were saying, you can't transmute the shadow unless you shine a light on it first. And I do agree with you that we're in a time where a whole lot of lights are illuminating just the extent of all the darkness that's been hidden for so long. And the first step to transforming anything is acknowledging that it's even there. So
Awareness.
I,
Totally.
yeah.
And that's, I mean, just, I have to say it because I keep thinking about Sound of Freedom. We ended up seeing that last week, and as heartbreaking and like you need your tissues kind of movie it is, it's just one that I keep feeling like it's so meant to be seen because of the awareness that it's creating on something that's existed for who knows how long. And now
Hmm.
finally light is being shined on this issue. And it's like, this needs to be looked at and handled in a
Yep.
sense, to be nice.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I think we as a society, as a, yeah, just as a society, as a civilization, just can't stick our heads in the sand anymore.
no, no. And it's time. It truly, I feel
Hmm.
like it's time. It's time for all the negative, dark, like souls that just don't get it and are out for themselves to just be gone. Again, don't want to say the things that I actually did say when I saw that movie, but that's okay.
Yeah,
You can only imagine.
I
Um,
get you.
yes. They need to be handled. Let's just put it that
Hmm.
way. So yeah, mindset huge. Well, and then body, obviously, like you also seem to have had like a lot of the body experiences, right? So I think
Hmm.
different people have different awakenings based on whether it's like mind or body or spirit, right? And for me, it's also been body. Like all the things that I experience in terms of like rebirth is always the physical body. It's just interesting. Whatever it is, I came in to experience, I guess, my soul grow through my physical body. Who knows?
Well,
Whatever.
I believe that we all do, honestly, because the physical body, in the spiritual community, a lot of people say like, oh, well, you are a spirit, an infinite being having a human experience, and they treat the body as like a meat suit that you drag around that doesn't really matter because it's
Oh
your
God.
consciousness is like the end all be all. But literally, your human body is your vessel. It's your vehicle for experiencing this lifetime on this planet at this
Totally.
time. If you didn't have this human body, you wouldn't be here. You would be a disembodied spirit floating around in the ethers.
Hmm.
So, yes, I think we absolutely all experience our ascension, if you will, through the human body to varying extents.
Sure.
But we
Right.
all at some point, it's not a spiritual awakening without if you don't deal with the physical body,
Yeah, even if that means
which,
emotions, and
yeah.
it could be. Say, I believe my last guest, she was saying that hers was more like a spiritual experience, but it also sounded more like an emotional one, where there was a
Mhm.
lot of emotions involved, which then that is part of the human experience, right? The physical
Right, because emotions literally get trapped in the physical
into the
body
body.
and turn
Exactly.
into dis-ease and illness and
Yes,
all the
and all the
things.
things. Yes. Like there are messages.
Hmm.
That's what we're here to teach.
Totally. Yeah, and
Uh,
I think for me, especially, so much of my physical experience, like I mentioned, has been around the throat chakra, has been around stifling my voice and my self-expression. And I mean, it's hard to stifle this voice. I have
yeah.
like I have a loud voice I'm a very like big presence and
Yeah.
personality. I'm really tall. Like
Yep.
it's really hard to shove this being in a box, but
Totally.
yet I have been in so many ways trying to mold myself into the box created for me by society, by my family, by all of these constructs that I think that's a big part of the reason why my body got so fucked up was because it was like trying to shove itself into a box that it just couldn't fit in and suppressing and repressing so many emotions and so much grief and rage and things that I had to say and like my own truth, my own being, my own expression. When you try to bottle up all of that, it creates this massive blockage that then turns into cancer. It's just
Yeah.
unavoidable pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And then with all the anger and resentment that you had from your mom's passing too, right? That like in itself,
Absolutely.
suppressing that has been shown. And you know, I talk about it all the time where that's the root of cancer is suppressed anger and resentment over long periods of time. And then it shows up initially, possibly in other parts and physical symptoms. And the more it's suppressed, and then it will
Hmm.
eventually manifest into cancer. And so yeah, and like you said, the throat is what, and whenever, like for me, like right now, like I'm like clearing my throat and I can tell like I haven't fully released like the frustrations I'm having. And
Hmm.
I can always hear it in my voice. Like it's not a full clear voice. Like I'm like, there's something there. Whereas I never would notice that before. I would just
Yeah.
say, oh, you know, I'm just always like got a sore throat or whatever. Now
Hmm.
I'm like, what am I not saying? What am I holding on to? What I need to say that I'm not saying, you know? So,
Yeah. What do I need to express?
yes, exactly.
Yeah. And for me, it's cool because like, yes, I've had all of these things that have been wrong with my throat, and all of the healing has been primarily around that area, along with the womb space, the sacral chakra, which the womb and the throat actually connect.
Mm,
They connect through the vagus nerve, which also regulates your nervous system. So when you are like fully seated in your power is when you are fully in your womb space and you're grounded in that like divine feminine magnetism and sensuality, and then you project your voice and you dig into the expression of your voice from that space, and that's when your power just goes like
mm,
exponentially without having to like project or push your power on anybody else. And I've learned this from like speaking coaches as well, just how important that connection really actually is. And the other cool thing for me is one of my spiritual gifts that's unlocked over the last few years is vocal toning, sound
mhm,
healing. Some people call it light language, but it's literally channeling sound from the angels, from celestial and extraterrestrial beings through my voice. And it comes out as these healing frequencies. Essentially, it's like a sound bath, but through my voice without any singing bowls or anything. And it's really cool to like feel the changes that it makes for myself and for people who experience it on a cellular DNA level. It's like instant reprogramming, instant upgrades. So it's like our greatest pain, our greatest challenges turn into our greatest gifts. And I know you talk about
that's
this a lot.
it's like, yeah, one of my
Yeah.
quotes.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And that's huge because with you, like in terms of like the spirit side, right? Like going from atheist to spiritual healer and like all
Hmm.
these things that you're doing, it's like
To all the woo.
mind blowing to go from
Yeah.
that to this. It's like full like end of the spectrum, right?
Uh-huh.
And,
Completely.
and that's what's possible. So it's like I feel like, of course, these are the wins and gifts and things. And so, what are some other things that you feel like came out of this in terms of like different gifts and wins that you got from? Your rebirth. I like
For
to
my
always say
rebirth,
rebirth. It's always about a rebirth.
yes, it's always about a rebirth. Even though I think mine has been gradual because of that engineering skepticism. So whereas some people have these amazing like light switch moments where their spiritual awakening, a switch flips and they all of their gifts get activated and suddenly they're like speaking light language and channeling angels and all these things. Mine was very, very gradual over the last 8 years. It started 8 years ago with more mindset ontological coaching and personal development, and then studying different modalities, different healings, and then really the spiritual part started happening for me about 5 years ago. And because I came from this place of being conditioned not to trust myself, I was also really distrusting of spirit. And because I had these negative experiences with spiritual narcissists and people who weren't out with my best interest in mind, or like actually taking advantage of my energy, and had my experiences with dark energies and entities and like all these things, I've been very, very slow to even open up into, let's say, channeling or working with spirit guides or even like the vocal toning. It's like, all right, can I trust this? Is it safe? So I think in a sense, it's also been a gift because I didn't like blast myself off into the stratosphere and potentially burn myself out, which is what I see a lot of people doing, especially if they go and do plant medicine and they like blast their channel wide open and then they're completely ungrounded and unintegrated and end up like some of them having psychotic breaks, and it can be really scary. I think I've gone through this like gradual progression of learning different tools and skill sets and accumulating these things and building up that foundation of self-trust again, so that when I did start to offer these things to other people, I could do it from a space of being really integrated with it, being embodied within those tools and skill sets and gifts, and also just with a higher level of integrity than what I see a lot of in the spiritual and healing space.
Totally. And you know, when you always say, I'm always like thinking like zipper, because I feel like my life has like been like a zipper. So mine's been gradually for sure too. Like I feel like my first work was I told you I did PSI, right? Like back in college. So that was my first like, oh, okay, hello. And you know, just a little layer, but and then it's like, and then I learned about law of attraction when like The Secret came out, another little layer. So it was just constantly like a little bit here and there, and then all of a sudden I feel like it was like take off, right?
Right.
And like, and then with Landmark, right, when we met and like all the energy stuff that we did, but it's like I feel like that's how you fully do integrate, because otherwise the physical body can't handle all that.
Exactly.
And so it's like, you can't just be like, let me just blast all this energetic stuff. And then next thing you know, the physical body will be forced to like be out for a while. Who knows with what dis-ease, because it's just too much to handle.
Yeah. Or your nervous system or your brain.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Well, I love it. I love it. So yeah, have you embraced your life as a healing journey, and do you continue doing so?
Yes. And it truly is a journey that never ends.
Exactly.
Because I also see people falling into the pitfalls of like, well, I'm going to do this thing, or I'm going to work with this person, or I'm going to embrace or learn or get certified in this modality, and then I'll be healed. Or
It's like
when, yeah,
I used to be like that. I'm like, why is it? Because everything that I did, maybe because I had a lot of awareness, I'm like, I'm not having that like, wow moment, you know? And I'm like, why? Why can't I get that? And then I'm like, I'm not fixed yet. What the hell? And finally, I got to the place where I'm like, oh, obviously, because we're always learning and healing no matter what. Like, it's just always another layer, always another layer. And it's never ending, like
Nope.
you said. So So
it ends when we die. And then even after that, it doesn't end, because even in the spirit realm, you're still learning and you're still advancing and evolving your consciousness. And then you come back for the next lifetime to advance and evolve your consciousness. So it really, yeah. It's
totally.
It's never ending. And there's no point resisting it.
Right.
So it really is about embracing that your life is a healing journey, and the healing comes in layers, and there's no one session or one mentor that's going to like fix everything in your life. There's always going to be deeper layers to things. But as soon as you peel away and you clear out the deeper layer, each layer, that allows you to like go to the next level of your consciousness and the next level of your gifts, and the next level of your authentic expression, and your power and your self-trust and your intuition and all of the wonderful things that come with it.
Yeah, more connection to spirit, higher self, whatever it is that you believe in. There is no fixing. That's one of the biggest things that I'm like, you can't fix yourself or anyone else. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just, experiences we've had that we are getting gifts out of, really. That's it.
And on a soul level, on a soul level, that's what you came here for.
Exactly. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And go ahead and you can let people know how they can get a hold of you, where they can find you.
Yes, I am. The easiest way to find me is on Instagram. My handle is Anna, ANNA _ Neimark, NEIMARK. And you can read up on some of the things I do. You can DM me. We can talk about how I can support you through your own energy clearing and embodiment and personal style alchemy, like all the things. But also, one of my main focuses recently has been teaching facilitators, light workers, space holders how to clear, ground, and balance and protect their own energy, so that they feel really, truly solid and unfuckwithable when working with others. And so they can clear the spaces in which they work, ceremonies, plant medicine, breath work, you name it, so that their clients really have this experience of being held and safe in a pristine and sacred space, which is so needed in this unregulated industry. Essential.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a group program teaching all of those baseline tools called Sovereign Energy Foundations, and it is launching. Round 2 of the program is launching this fall towards the end of September. So happy to talk about that for anyone who's interested as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to Anna. It's so essential to have that. I've been through times where it did not have that, and it can really impact you. So highly recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, again, thanks so much for having you. Well,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you for having this conversation.
Yes, thank you for having this conversation. There we go. Oh my gosh. I may need some of that rest, really. Well, everybody, thanks again. Subscribe to see, look at this. I can't even
subscribe to Life is a Healing Journey.
Yes, subscribe.
Follow Anuschka. Subscribe. Hit up Anuschka for your subconscious reprogramming, for your life coaching to be powerful and unstoppable through any life circumstances. Anuschka is truly the real deal. Super powerful, incredible healer. And I'm just so blessed and grateful to know you and love you and call you one of my besties.
Aw, I'm so grateful to you too. And I literally feel like I'm going to cry now. Love you. Love you.
Love you. Love you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Life is a Healing Journey podcast. You are here to peel and heal one layer at a time, to live your life to the fullest in the face of any circumstance, while embracing a life filled with love, joy, and peace. If you are in disharmony in any area of your life and truly desire to be in harmony and committed to elevating your health and well-being, I'm one click away. Find me at healingwithanuschka.com. And remember, that's Anuschka with a C. And if you like what you heard, please subscribe and share this podcast with your loved ones. Get your healing on. Until next time.